Hello and welcome to this Maths with Lordy video. We are looking at the paper 2C. This is not my speciality. I'm a 2B guy, so I'm going to do my best to go through 2C. We should be cooking on gas. We've got the sponsors there, Gray's Hockey, love them. And then we're up to 1.22 thousand subs, so the channel is growing really nicely. Okay, scrolling down, this is of course the 2016 paper. We've done question 1 and 2. They're on a different playlist because they are relevant to all 3 of our option papers. So down we go, and we are at question 3. Look, the sponsors are there again. They've snuck in. Okay, consumers of electricity have to decide which payment plan or tariff to follow each year. Tariffs usually consist of a charge per kilowatt hour of electricity used and an annual standing charge. That is a fixed fee that is payable no matter how much electricity is used. The table below shows the 3 tariffs that are offered to consumers. 3A, show that using 1,000 kilowatt hours in 1 year with tariff B should cost £180. So charge per kilowatt hour. So we've got 1,000. That's then multiplied by 0.14 because that's what 14 pence is in pounds. And then we have to add our £40, which is our standing charge. And then I'm just going to show an extra line of working. So 1,000 times by 0.14 is 140. So I'm showing that extra line of working to get to 180. Though I'm sure you'd be fine if you just wrote that calculation because that's what they want to see with the show that question. Okay, part B. Ava is employed to advise consumers about the cheapest tariff for them. The consumers she advises use between 1,500 to 3,500 kilowatt hours per year. She needs to know which tariff will be cheapest for different amounts of electricity used. Advise Ava on which tariff to suggest to consumers depending on how many kilowatt hours of electricity they spend or they expect to use per year. You may use the grid opposite the page to help you if you wish. So we've got a grid here. Now, this is all about graphing, and I used simultaneous equations to solve this, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to try and draw the graph. So our first graph, the charge per kilowatt hour, this is going to be the gradient, and then the annual standing charge is the y-intercept because that's the constant one. So for tariff A, actually, I'm going to use the snipping tool and I'm going to draw it down below so you can see clearly what we've got. So I just don't want to keep scrolling up and down. So let me just paste that here. I'll move it over and make it a bit smaller. So first things first for this diagram, sorry, tariff A. If I work out how much it's going to cost for 3,500 kilowatt hours, and that's at 0.16, gives me 560. So I just need to plot my graph like that. Oh, I'm in blue. I need to be in red. Don't know why that changed. Like so. I can now draw my graph. Now this will be easier for you using pen and paper. For me, not so easy. 38 degrees, no good. 39 degrees, it's no good either, really. I need something in between the two. That'll have to do. But you'll be okay doing that with your pen and paper. Let me see, I've missed that second coordinate. Right, for tariff B, and I'll do that one in blue, we have got £40 as the first standing charge. So that goes into there. And then I want to know what it's going to cost for 3,500. So 3,500 times by 0.14. And then we're going to add that standing order or that standing charge of £40. So that makes 530. So 550, 540, 530 goes there. So for B, I'll get that lined up. That's 35. Good. I think I'd have rather have done this with simultaneous equations, if I'm honest, but it is what it is. Right, tariff C. We'll do that one in black, or should we? I think we'll go pink. That's going to be a bigger difference. So we've got our start point at 100. 0.12 times by 3,500 plus the 100 gets to 520. Is that right? I just want to double check that. Well, it is, it's 520. Yeah. Goodness me. Right, that goes into there. Okay. There we go. So what we can now see here is we can now advise which tariff is the best one. So we've got a bit of a crossover point here, which means that in this bit, and I'll go to black while I'm writing this, tariff A is cheaper here. From this crossover point, and then we can see here the blue one is bottom until we get to here, and then here is where the pink line is better. So we've got tariff A is the best one, that's the lowest line. Get to this crossover point and then it's blue, so that's tariff B. And then from this crossover point, tariff C is the cheapest. So, and this is actually there or there, spot on. It's actually spot on. Up to, I'm going to write my answer here. Tariff A is cheapest from 0 to 2000. Tariff B, 2000 to 3000. And tariff C, 3000 to plus. Now, if I go back to that question, they estimate they're going to use between 1,500 and 3,500. That means that any of these can be suitable depending on what they need. Advise everyone which tariff to use, suggest to consumers depending on how many kilowatt hours. So it's a tough one. Because like she's going to be using between that and she'll be using between that. And I'm going to suggest, I would suggest tariff B. And my reason for this, and I've not actually looked at the mark scheme, I've got all the values. I'm going to suggest tariff B because there's, of this gap, so there's a gap of 2,000. It's because there's a half chance they will use between 2,000 and 3,000 out of the estimate of 1,500 and 3,500. So for out of this whole range, that's a range of 2,000. For 1,000 of it, tariff B is better. For 500, tariff C. For 500, tariff A. So I would say to her, look, tariff B is probably your best bet. It's your safest bet. Okay, that is question 3 done, because if we just look below, we've got question 4. So I'll end the video here and I'll see you at question 4. Bye-bye.